It's not an issue, okay? That's just the backup if you cannot see and there's an issue reading. So I'm gonna give you a heads up. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Jere'My Rankins. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in the state of Texas. I've been licensed since 2020 independently. We go through that provisional license 2018. I got that provisional license as an associate. And back then I was an associate, I was an intern. Got the hours, and in 2020, I was independently licensed. And so I've been doing immigration evaluations since the get-go. Claudia Casillas was my wife, and she is an immigration lawyer. She had been practicing 7 years before I got fully licensed. And so she got a really, really poor report, a really poorly written report. Okay, it was very poorly written. And she looked at the report. It was a social worker from Austin, just saying. So anyways, so it was a poorly written report. And she said, you know what, you can do better work than this. Like, I think you could really do better than this. And so what happened was the social worker did like a copy and paste from a previous report that he did. And so some of the client's information from the old report was on the new report, on the report that she submitted, or he submitted to her. And so he had errors, grammatical errors throughout the report. And so she sent it back 3 times before it was sufficient for her to submit as evidence to the court. So that was the first introduction to doing this work, immigration evaluations. And then the second one was I was working at Kingwood Hospital. That's relevant because I say that and I'll be all over the country and people are like, what? So Houston, Texas, Kingwood Pines Hospital. And so I was working there, and Shahada Mitchell is an LPC as well. She's going to get her PhD. She said, I'm doing this training on immigration, and I think you could do it. I think you should try it. And I said, you know what? This is not my first time hearing this. And so I tuned in. It was Get a Soul. It's an agency in Austin, Texas. And so Get a Soul, she first introduced me to training clinicians, professionals. And so if you've never heard of them, my Facebook group, I talk about them all the time. I give them credit for what they did for me. They introduced me to training and workshops. And so ever since then, 2020, I created a program during the pandemic, right? We were coming out of the pandemic. And so I created Your Guide to Immigration Evaluations, and here we are today. Welcome, have a seat. Have a seat, stay a week. You can kind of go back. Now, another disclaimer, I don't put a lot of information on the slides because students or some therapists will get a lot of information from the presentation, and they'll gain enough confidence based off of their experience to say, I know how to do this, I can do this now. And I just don't recommend that. Okay, I just don't. So this is foundation of immigration evaluations. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm going to give you the brief overview. So the definition for what are immigration evaluations, you can do one of 2 things. You can just cut it really short and say, hey, they're forensic evaluations, right? It doesn't give you a lot unless you're in the profession and you have a lot of experience doing this work. Or you can talk about what you do in the immigration evaluation, and that can be drawn out. Okay, all the different steps that we do to complete these reports. Okay, so I condensed it. It's a little bit shorter. Immigration evaluations are forensic assessments that examine an individual's biopsychosocial history and current mental health to document factors relevant to their immigration legal proceedings. Okay. Hardship waiver, I-601, there's one that's, you'll see it's outside, and I-601A is inside. Usually, you're going to be inside. I-601A is people who are here in the United States of America right now, okay, who are undocumented. And the person who has legal status in the family usually, they're petitioning or advocating for, I need this person to stay here. We need them for this reason. So the VAWA, I kind of alluded to that, Violence Against Women's Act, is it only for women?
No.
Okay, who's it for? Everybody who is what?
He's a victim of domestic violence.
Right. Okay. What about babies? If they fall victim somehow in some way to the domestic violence that happened in that home, absolutely. You can't interview them, but you can mention in a report there was this medical report that happened, or they had to send the baby to the hospital because they were wrestling and tussling, and the baby fell off the bed, broke their arm. All right. So VAWA, kids can be recipients of the violence in the home. They can also get abused, right? So, yeah, Violence Against Women Act is not just for women. It's for anybody who's a victim. U visa, certain crimes, okay? Certain crimes. If your home was burglarized when you weren't there, it's not strong enough. Now, if they burglarized the home and stole something very, very sensitive, I don't know, something y'all think of, something that is very precious, maybe, but it's got to be robbery at gunpoint. You've got to be assaulted, like hardcore, right? Now you get in a fist fight. Nobody went to the hospital. Nobody got a broken nose. It's got to be It's got to be certain crimes, okay? Extreme crimes. I had one person who was undocumented. He worked at Subway. Okay, he worked at Subway, and there were some teenagers that robbed Subway. And he was one of the workers in the back or whatever. And so it's documented. It was on the news. He won his case. I found out a year and a half later or something like that. He won his case. Okay? Robbery. I don't even. T visa. Okay, these are usually the human trafficking. Okay? Usually fall under human trafficking in some shape or form. Human trafficking is a broad spectrum. It's not just related to sex. Okay? Huge spectrum. I don't get a lot of the T visas, but I've had a few over my time. Asylum. Asylum is almost unheard of now because they've done away with it. Almost done away with it. You can't, because so many people were coming over here and they were throwing the asylum out. I'm seeking asylum, I'm being persecuted in my home country. So they basically took that away. For you to seek asylum, you've got to have a lot of evidence. A lot of time, we're not going to get those reports. Because the attorneys got proof that they were being persecuted in their home country, right? They've got documentation that they were beat up in jail. They've got documentation, they've got medical records, they've got pictures, they've got videos of when they were protesting on the streets on Facebook, and they were tackled to the ground and beat up by this officer, and then they got apprehended, and then all the claims that they were tortured or abused in jail or prison are more likely because we saw the video, the court saw the video. So we're not going to get a lot of those asylums. Because one, the government has kind of taken that away, right? Because so many people were coming and saying, I'm seeking asylum, and there were so many protections for them. So government kind of made it, the government made it extremely hard for anybody to apply for asylum, okay? Or two, your asylum case is extremely strong. Like you've got real juice to your case. This is asylum case without a doubt, okay? All right. Cancellation of removal, you have been ordered to leave the United States of America. Okay? You have been ordered to leave the United States of America. You want to go to your attorney and figure out what you can do. And so a lot of times it may go back up to the hardship waiver, the extreme, and they say, how can we cancel this? How can we combat this? Why is it beneficial for me to stay in the United States? Who needs me? What would happen to me if I went back to my home country of Guatemala, El Salvador? What would happen to me? Okay? This is the proof that this would happen to me. All right? So that's the cancellation.